Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Tori Nook Show, where we go behind the scenes, defining moments. We're going to talk about the ways intention, synchronicities, and faith and intuition can guide us into a more aligned decisions, both personally and professionally. And today I have a fantastic guest. Her name is Marcy Moneypenny, and
Mhm.
she is the founder of the Moneypenny Collective. She is a coach, and her company is a leadership platform, and it's built on to help women who are like mid-career women in commercial real estate strengthen their confidence and elevate their visibility and to step into opportunities they've earned. And
Yay.
she I know, right? And she just recently stepped into this new platform, and we're going to get into it because she's been in corporate America for decades, and she brings tons of experience from the commercial real estate world, corporate world. And she led teams, she advised clients nationally, even globally. Her stretch was very big. You weren't contained in one town. And you built a big reputation with results, and you drove a very result driven leadership when you were there based off your reputation.
Yeah.
and but you're very grounded, direct, and human. And, that's why people love working with you. And that's also why, you've really taken off with the Money Penny Collective.
Right.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. First of all, just spending time with you, Tori. I mean, what a great way to start a Tuesday. I appreciate it.
Yes.
And just looking forward to sharing anything that could be a takeaway for someone and make their experience better.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point of this show, right? Is we're getting nuggets about real life, real decisions, real things that have happened. Because I think some people think it's only me, or this only happens in me, or how do I do this? How do I do that? And, we all bring different experiences, business and personal, to the table, right? But before we get really into it, like, what's the part of your story people see that explains why you built and started the Money Penny Collective?
Thanks for asking. The reason that the Moneypenny Collective was founded is really on 35 plus years of being in one industry.
Hmm.
It doesn't feel like I've been in one industry for 35 years because I've pivoted. I don't
Hmm.
know. There are probably 10 versions of me out there throughout my career. You know how
Oh,
you
yeah.
pivot, you change, you grow, and you take on additional responsibilities or whatever. But one
Hmm.
thing that was consistent in
Yeah.
my career is mentoring and sponsoring and advocacy for women.
Hmm.
First of all, being in a male dominated industry, which quite frankly, I love because I love working with the guys, always have. I enjoy that. But I also know the limitations that a male dominated industry can cause, create,
Hmm.
amplify for women because
Oh,
I
yeah.
see them underserved and under represented. And for the 35 years, I've done the coaching and advocacy and all of that before work, on my lunch hour, and after work. And
Hmm.
when I had the opportunity, when I left my previous role at Avison Young, I was running their brokerage office here in Denver, one of only two female brokerage leaders in our
You're definitely
market.
a rarity.
Yeah.
The girls must
Um,
love you, the younger girls there.
right, right. But it was a lot of fun. But when I left that at the end of April of last year, the very first day of May, when I founded the Moneypenny Collective, and just jumped in, did a cannonball at the deep end of the pool
Mhm.
because I knew that I was compelled to do it regardless of the outcome.
Did you plan your retirement?
I've never seen it as retirement.
Mhm.
For
I meant
me,
from your previous company because you were there a long
well,
time.
what I did is I fulfilled my contract, my 5-year contract. It was up actually at the end of March, and I had told leadership months before that this is what I wanted to do. And Harry Claff, who was the president of the US, was a great sponsor, a great
Mhm.
supporter. He was all for it and understood I wanted to leave that position to go on to where follow another passion.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's interesting is, you're part of the pipeline, right? That Julie Fox started.
Mhm.
And, that's like the biggest thing that younger women want is leadership
Yes.
because especially most companies, big and small boutiques too. I mean, it doesn't matter what the size, they don't have women there. nor do they have senior women. And that's something like they're craving that are part of
Right.
that, our group.
And Tori, sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you.
Oh, that's okay.
One of the things I've seen certainly in the last since the pandemic started in 2020
Hmm.
is those funds, those monies for training and development
Hmm.
have lessened and lessened and lessened, so there's very little left anymore,
Oh,
and
I did
so if
not.
women don't find ways, which is one of the things I teach women, is how to fund your training, what
Hmm.
you can do, especially as a broker. There's some great ways that you can go to your MD
Yeah.
and have them help you with your commissions. It's called off the top expense. You
Hmm.
go to your MD, you say, I want to do this training program for, I don't know, I'm making numbers up, $2,000. I want you to take that off the top of my next commission. The house will pay for half and I'll pay for half. And the great thing for the managing director is it doesn't have to have been in the budget because the
Right.
2026 budgets are already in place, standard. It is what
Mhm.
it's gonna be. But
Right.
if they can work out a deal with their managing director and explain to them, first of all, you have to have the data
Hmm.
and the wherewithal to say, "This is how it'll benefit me and my team," or, "This is how it'll benefit the revenue for this office." It's a win.
Huge.
Yes.
Huge. And I mean, like I had to go, and he's still my mentor. Actually, somebody who used to run a CB office. I've been
Uh-huh.
very close to him, and he was the one that helped me frame how to go into
Yes.
my bosses, um, for what I wanted, and that's what I think is so spectacular about what you're doing and how focused you are on knowing how to help women in commercial real estate. I mean, believe me, you're going to need a Marcy Moneypenny at some point, right? Because to coach you on, how to stop shrinking, how to ask for more, how to go ask for
Mhm.
coaching. I mean, I thought that was brilliant because a lot of young people, they don't even realize they don't even understand how these budgets and how businesses run and why
Right.
your managing director does have to say no, even if they don't want to say no,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because I mean, when you're young, you don't realize you have no idea what's going behind a business until you own one or get more mature and see what
Right.
it really, money just doesn't run out of the bank because there's like a ton in there and
Right.
because you asked, right? You have to be strategic in how you think. And when you're
Right.
dealing in big girl world,
Right.
right?
Right.
What I like too is that you show women how to stop, over explaining because it's another big issue. I was one of them. I'm like, shut. I think I learned that more from my husband being in business. Like, you're talking too much.
Uh,
Make this precise to the point so people
uh,
listen. And, you also show women how to show up with clarity and authority. This isn't about performance, it's about getting in alignment when you're in business.
Well, one of the things great points, Tori. One of the things that's really important is women have a tendency to step back and be a bit in the
Oh,
shadows
yeah.
when something is associated with asking,
Right.
because oftentimes they're afraid of hearing the word no. I've never heard the word no because
Hmm.
what I hear is no, comma, not yet.
Mm. Hmm.
I mean, that is a big difference. You and I both know. Think about over the last couple
Yeah.
years, a no can go to a yes very easily due to a market, a deal, a
Hmm.
client. They
Right.
change their minds. But
Right.
oftentimes women will think a no is for forever. Well, it's not. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's something you
Right.
hear someone say, it gives you a negative response. You go
Hmm.
back in a week or two and revisit it and say, I know last time we talked about this, you weren't a fan. I'd like
Hmm.
to bring it up again and talk about what were some of the things that you were resistant to. How can I better explain? And here's what I've found about leadership.
Such a mature questions to ask, like the
Yes,
way you just said
yes.
it too.
Here's what leadership loves.
Hmm.
Leadership loves people being tenacious. That's
Yes.
actually, regardless whether you're a broker or property management or project manager,
You're working in a
you're
law
in
firm.
marketing, you're in research, you're being paid to not let go, to keep after something. So whenever I've been tenacious and been called out on it, I've said, well, of course I am. That's what you pay me for.
Right. Exactly. Well, what are the top three things you hear from your clients?
Well, what's
since you
been
started?
interesting is I've had some male clients too,
Mhm.
which makes sense because when I run teams or run a brokerage office, majority of the brokers were male.
Mm.
So I
Mhm.
can speak male really
Right.
easily.
Mhm.
And the thing that I would say men and women have in common is self-talk. Surprisingly enough,
It
self-talk. And, it could be something a male heard when he was a kid growing up, his dad maybe was in the military. And so there were some rules and things that
yeah.
he's brought with him
Yeah.
going forward. For a woman, it
Mhm.
could be self-talk of I actually have a post coming out this week or next about how women have a tendency, and maybe men, to memorialize a picture or an idea of themselves when they were 8 or 9.
Mm.
And then they carry that around their entire career, and they're trying to upgrade a person who's irrelevant anymore. And so that self-talk is going on. That's been important. Confidence. I can't tell you how many people I've had ask me, "How am I gonna be can you make me as confident as you are?" Well, that's taken quite a long time, but it's something that we're all working on. And if we leave that little girl behind, it makes it a
Mhm.
lot easier to be confident in who you have arrived on the scene to be today.
Mhm.
And then the other one is client management. I think oftentimes I sat on the investor side of the business for a long time. So it was leasing,
Yeah.
agency leasing, capital markets, and property management. As people get clients or they're handed clients,
Right. Oh,
they've
yeah.
really never been trained. Maybe some firms do it or used to do it on how to care for a client. And so we go through that quite a bit. And that's one of my favorite. My entire career, quite frankly, if you look from soup to nuts, has been managing clients. It's been
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that what you said about people carrying their 6, 7, 8-year-old selves. That's a good idea for my next guest because there are people who do just specialize in inner child systems. It's a big thing, even in psychology, in the
Wow.
psychology world, that people train people, even in this spiritual community, because that's where the biggest place they do get stuck. I know it's a crazy thing that to think about, but it
You're
is
so
out there. You could
impressionable
read
at that
about it.
age.
They are, and you don't realize you carry with you those unhealed wounds as
Huh?
an adult, which will affect not just your business relationships, but your personal ones
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, very
Agreed.
interesting. And confidence is definitely a big one. I mean, what do you do to help a client boost their confidence? How do you train someone or coach them to have confidence?
Well, I do coaching a bit different, I think, compared to some of the big coaching companies and whatever. We start off with the human.
Mhm.
Because it's been my experience, you really can't separate who you are as a human being from your profession. I mean, think about it, Tori. You're a Tori when you go home, you're a
Yeah.
Tori when you come to the office, and there may be some things you carry from home into the office and
Mhm.
vice versa.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we talk about some of those things about how you grew up, how you feel about yourself. What are things you wish you could change and start talking about those things because you can't just go to someone and say, "You're a great gal," or "Hey, buddy, you're a top producer. Be
Mhm.
confident in that." It just doesn't stick. And I want people to walk away, whether I coach them for months or years, I want them to walk away with something tangible where they feel like they really are evolving into that person they want. And this is a great first step.
Yeah. How long do people usually coach for? What's typical?
Typically, I'll engage with someone for 3 months at a time, and that's
Every
2
week?
sessions a month.
Okay.
It's every other month because if it's every week, there's just so much you can talk about without
Yeah.
being redundant or
Right.
going off topic. So it's every 2 weeks. And then I have clients who keep renewing and
Mhm.
because we get started in one direction and we work on that, but we need to go back to this goal or we need to refine this or something comes up in their career, and we need to address that. I've been hired a number of times by
Mhm.
women who are going to be interviewing for a really important role.
Okay.
and they want me to work with them during that interview process.
Okay.
And I love doing that. I love strategy, and
Okay.
so
Yeah.
that's been something I really enjoy doing as well.
And I think that's a really good point too, because who would have known there's interview coaching, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's genius to do that and be fully prepared to go in for a
yep,
big job.
yeah, I agree, I agree. Well, and think about how different it is now. Much of that interview process is gonna be virtual. It
True.
really will be, and that's a
True.
whole different way of
That's
trying
a
to make
different
an impression.
yeah, that's a whole different ball game.
It is.
Speaking of that, people could come to you for interview coaching. What other topics do they come to you for?
Let's see, they've been promoted,
Mhm.
and they feel a bit out over their skis.
Mm,
And so we wanna dial everything back of where they feel comfortable, but where the areas where
yeah.
they feel like we need to focus so they
Mhm.
can walk in feeling confident every day in their position and not feel like they're afraid they're gonna be found out, that they're not
Right.
capable. Because they are. They got
You
the job.
do you
It's
think
just there's a meme somewhere on social media is just, okay, if, don't let fear control you. If you feel fear, it's because you've never done it before. It doesn't mean that you can't.
right.
Anyway,
Would that be instead of saying fear, imposter syndrome?
I am not a fan of the imposter
I
syndrome.
just
And because I think what it does is it tells women that you're a fake. I
Mhm.
don't think any of us in a new position or a new opportunity feel like we're fully
Mhm.
ready for it and or certainly fully trained for it. I mean,
Mhm.
if so, it wouldn't be new and it wouldn't be a promotion, but it just means we need to learn some things.
Yeah.
I'm a person who runs to the bullet. Feeling fake about something or not real, I'd rather just call it what it is and just
Mhm.
know that it's something I need to work on. But it's just not something that I've bought into because, um, I think it also gives people an excuse not to work on what they need to work on, that
Right.
I'm a fake.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, are your male clients coming to you for that, or do you feel it's more women?
I would say male clients come to me for one reason and it ends up being 2 or 3 different reasons. It could be, I wanna know how to better serve my clients.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, you can't talk about service and how you do that without talking about what that person values in service
Right.
and how do they do it. And okay, your idea of services is giving a client what you want them to have. No, if you're going to serve a client, you need to ask them what they need, what they want, not you telling them what you're going to give them.
Right.
So little things like that. And then it just kind of spirals and it's great fun.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, the
Yeah.
tons of stuff always unfolds.
Yeah.
What was the moment, like, you realize that if I keep showing up the way you're showing up? Because I mean, you started your business recently. I mean, this is like a deep dive. A lot of people think they wanna start their own business, and it's just a dream. You took the initiative to do it. Um, and it takes balls. I mean, totally, right? That I'm not gonna stay stuck, and I'm just gonna go do this. Like, how do you motivate yourself to just to how did you motivate yourself to just take that leap?
Well, I'm sure I'm not much different than you, Tori. We're
Mhm.
both self-motivated. It's
Yeah.
an internal thing. I've never depended on someone else to motivate me because they don't think like I do.
Mhm.
I'd like to think I'm uniquely made just like you're uniquely made, and
Yeah.
that uniqueness is what our industry needs.
Mhm.
No one else can be Tori. Only you
Right.
can be Tori. But it was 8 months ago that I
Mhm.
started, the Moneypenny Collective, and I had no idea whether it would be successful or not. As we talked before we,
Mhm.
started on air today is I'm kind of running everything through a filter is, if I don't do it, will I regret it?
Right.
And if I hadn't started the Moneypenny Collective, it would have been a huge regret of mine. But I kinda show up every day because I have
Mhm.
things to do. I'm compelled on what I wanna give back, what I wanna share, what I want to impart, and how I want to serve. So I have kind of what you would call a servant's heart. And that's something inside of you that you just can't keep to yourself. But most importantly, what I found, and it gets me teary eyed every time, is when you've been in an industry for 35 years, you have connections all over the US, globally. And when I sent out the email, put on LinkedIn what I had just founded, the response from people,
Was huge.
yes.
Yeah.
And what can I do? Can I introduce you to this person? It was just unreal. And over the 35 years, I love connecting people because that's
Mhm.
just something I get joy in. I wasn't ever
Yeah.
expecting
Yeah.
35 years later to be given something from them, but that's how it worked. And that's one thing I would love people in our industry to know. You connect and you care for those relationships like you and I do because we know the importance of them. In that moment, you just never know how long that relationship will go and how it will deepen over time.
What percent? I mean, you have to be authentic to get anything out of life, right? Or any relationships. Speaking of social media, what are you're big on LinkedIn. I mean, what are your other channels that you find that are useful for you and getting your word out and everything that you're doing?
I've always been on LinkedIn. I'm just now kind of spreading out to X or
Mhm.
Twitter.
Mhm.
I'm on, Instagram, but not really as the Moneypenny Collective.
Right.
That's for another day, another idea. But what I love about LinkedIn is that it's all about business.
Mhm.
And by I mean business, it's not about deals and blah, 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 though it is. It's business people interacting with other business people, and they may share personal stories, which
Right.
everybody loves the authenticity of a personal story relating to work or whatever.
For sure.
But I love the platform
Mhm.
and what I've learned about it over the last year. I mean, you and I were in Palm Desert at
Mhm.
CREI Summit, which was awesome, and if people haven't been, should.
You definitely
And
should
I
go. That's the
learned
first thing I met.
met so many awesome people there and have learned a ton about LinkedIn. And quite frankly, that's where I've met every one of my clients and every keynote that engagement I've had, speaking, workshop, webinar has been through LinkedIn.
Wow.
It's a
That's
great
powerful.
platform,
What do
but
you
I
think are
love
the
to write.
what do you
So
think
the posts are fun
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, your posts are really, really good, very
Yeah.
informative.
Thank you.
And you have your newsletter that comes out too. Is it once a month or
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. I think it just came out this morning
yeah,
early.
I saw it.
Yeah.
What do you feel like are your big do's and don'ts are with social media?
Um, I think the biggest uh, misconception is oftentimes it's brokers, and I'm not picking on brokers, but they're the ones who do deals.
You're right.
And they treat LinkedIn like a bulletin board. They just stick the deal on, closed. They may mention the other broker's name, but they're not quite sure how to use the at sign to, connect them to the LinkedIn post, but they use it as something to talk about that they've closed on something. And it just has no shelf life.
Mhm.
LinkedIn has gone far beyond that.
That
Yeah.
was early days, yes.
Yeah, and if you want to share on a deal, first of all, you better make sure the client is fine with you sharing it on LinkedIn. But talk about what were the issues? What was the tough thing about it? What were the solutions? What was the money you saved the client? Make it interesting. Tell a story. Put a little bit more time in. So
Right.
that would be one thing. I have this saying, I don't know anybody who's on Social Surge with Mo and Fly, but
Yeah. Yeah, I watch
on
it.
there Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And we were talking once, and I came up with host the post.
Mhm.
And what a lot of people, regardless of what profession they're in, is they will post something on LinkedIn and then just go on.
Mhm.
Only 13% of people on LinkedIn comment or like or love or whatever. Only 13%.
I didn't even know that. That's wild.
Yeah. Think about that. So when you get a comment or a like, that's gold.
Right.
What they'll do is they'll just leave and they won't
Mhm.
ever come back and thank someone for their comment or agree with them or whatever. I'd liken it to imagine that if you were having a party and you
Mhm.
started setting everything out. You have the beverages out, the food, you got the music going, the vibe is all going.
Yeah.
People are starting to walk in, and you go sit in a closet with the door closed.
Yeah.
That's exactly what a lot of people do with LinkedIn. And I have another post that will be coming out about how to make sure you respond. Down
Huge.
below, right where comments are, it's most relevant and
Mhm.
most recent. It usually stays on most relevant. Click on most recent, and the most recent posts will come up. And if you haven't responded to them, they're right there.
Right.
Start. Thank you very much. Love you. Da 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 da.
People don't
Whatever.
yeah, they don't
But
realize
it's
the
about
algorithm.
relationships
Yeah,
on LinkedIn as well.
right. It's about relationships, and also to boost your algorithm, you should be
Sure.
responding to people
Yeah.
and
Well, but I
responding to their
mean,
posts.
the kindness of some people,
Right.
most people, has been awesome. So I think, between using it as a bulletin board and then putting a post on and never coming back and
Mhm.
responding to everyone, those are some things that really you don't wanna do. And then, I think in this month's newsletter, a broker asked me, "What are people doing on LinkedIn? I mean, they're posting all the time. They're doing this, they're doing that. How does that work?" And so I go through and about how you batch posts and how you can schedule them.
Mhm.
Some people ask me, "What's that clock for?" That's how you schedule them.
What do you do? Like, once a month, once a week?
No, no, I'll do it Sunday
Okay.
afternoons,
Typically
or,
people do.
or I'll see certain things and I have a file, I'll throw them in, just as ideas. And then also you can go on, AI, whatever your
Yeah.
favorite, whether it's Claude, Chat,
Yeah.
Nano Banana, whatever, and say, "What are some of the trends?"
Mhm.
Like for you, it could be, "What are some of the trends retail brokers are not talking about that they should?"
Right.
And AI will list some of those, and you have subject matter right then. So there
Right.
are all sorts of ways. You don't have to be brilliant. I've
No.
never been the
Not with,
smartest person
AI
in a
now
room.
to give you a million
Yeah,
ideas. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
exactly. So that's some of it.
I wanna pivot, to the fact so our listeners know too that you built your career as a single mom. And I loved your post. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. The picture with you and your daughter, and what, talking about it, especially at a time when a lot of women did not work when you worked as a
Yeah.
single mother in corporate America. The workforce wasn't totally the same as it is today.
Ooh,
What did that really require from you? I mean, like mentally, emotionally, like practically, like how did you handle it all?
yeah.
All those aspects.
Yeah, yeah. That was in the late '80s.
Mhm.
Oh, geez Louise, when was that? Maybe it was late '80s, early '90s. I'm trying to think. But my daughter, her father and I had just divorced.
Mhm.
Um, I knew that if I didn't get my butt in gear, we were destined to a life of mediocrity.
Mhm.
I am not a person who embraces mediocrity. Have never wanted to have anything to do with being good or fine. That's why I use the word awesome all the time. This world cannot be described like good, fine, or okay. To me, it's
Right.
awesome, it's spectacular, it's
Mhm.
stunning.
Yeah.
But so Jill and I knew I was going to have to work really hard.
Mhm.
And that included, taking her to the office late at night
Mhm.
and making a bed for her in my workspace so she could sleep while I worked on budgets or on reports or whatever. Because at that point, that is when computers are only being used by accounting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, there I am.
Ugh.
And so it was just, you do what you have to do. But it didn't seem hard. It didn't seem bad. It
Mhm.
felt like I was moving forward, which is all I wanted to do,
Right.
and create a life for myself and certainly for my daughter, who is now in real estate, and my son, who came later when we married John Moneypenny.
Yeah.
My son is with Colliers in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And so my daughter and her husband have a real estate company up in the Vail Valley,
Okay.
and then she also does sales. So something works somewhere.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, I think
Yeah.
the thing is people they don't realize I think the best advice I ever got from a leasing agent who's your age, she's been in the business 30 plus years is you really have to it's not about how much time, it's the quality of the time and
Mhm.
that they know you love
Yeah.
them and take care of them
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right? Because you could be home all day and be with an abusive parent, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I think women beat themselves up like way, 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 way
Yeah.
too much.
No, it was actually the best thing that could have happened for either one of us.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm grateful for
What
it.
do you think the hardest part of that chapter was that, like, people didn't see, like, behind the scenes that kept you going?
You know what was interesting about it was I've told this story before. I can't even remember if I told it in a post is I remember working hard, really, really hard.
Mhm,
And I remember it like it was yesterday. You know, your brain doesn't know it was yesterday. It just brings it back up. Is that I had a meeting with Jill, my daughter, with
mhm,
her daycare, and I had to leave the office at 5. And so I'm packing up my stuff. I'm getting ready to walk out, and one of the executives stopped me and
mhm.
said, "Why are you leaving early?" And it was like somebody threw cold water on me. I was just 5 o'clock early. And
Right.
then I thought, what have I done to myself by working all these long hours? They've gotten used to it.
Mhm.
And now they're expecting it from me, but I'm on a salary. So I'm not getting more. What have I done to myself? And I thought, okay, I don't want to be known for my output.
Mhm.
I want to be recognized for my potential.
Right.
And that changed. My brain went,
Mm.
so yeah.
What do you do to get into, like, deeper moments of thought? Like, so I mean, we all have epiphanies and at certain points, and what do you do to get into your space to be led by the
What I
unseen?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Gratitude.
Mhm.
What I've had to learn is I am a person with incredible energy and enthusiasm for life, which can sweep me away.
Yeah.
And I've really had to learn to slow down and
Mhm.
listen not only in here, because I'm
Right.
sure I'm ADHD and we just didn't
We
know it
all
back
love when we're
then.
in sales.
Yeah, because this brain is like, Tasmanian devil. But to slow down and listen to myself, but also to the world around me, because the world
Mhm.
does not evolve
Right.
around me. And for me, I'm in the best place where I am grateful.
Mhm.
I'm expressing gratitude and service.
Yeah.
That fills me up. And I have a lot to be grateful for.
Everyone does. I've been in your worst days, you can name 3 things, right? At least.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. When you were all these years, you're working as a single mom, you're in corporate America. We all know, like you just said, people don't notice you. I mean, or they overwork you. That's a big thing with women because, like, people will just keep loading stuff on because women have a hard time setting hard boundaries and saying no. I mean, was there ever a moment that you ever just almost like quit? Because even like with everything going on in your life, you couldn't even keep the plates like spinning.
It's funny you asked that because the first thing that came to mind is I have always loved commercial real estate. It
Hmm.
is in my DNA. Don't know how it happened,
Yeah.
but I get it. I understand it. I
Hmm.
value it. I'm grateful for it. But the times where I've been the most frustrated has been when I have responsibility without authority. There's nothing worse than having
Very.
all this responsibility, but you can't make decisions without being someone lording over you or executive committee telling you, no, the only unique thing about you can be your last name, Moneypenny, blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
And so for me, when that has happened, it hasn't happened in years, is I've always made sure when I've had a new opportunity or when I was at CB and they said, will you come and do this? Number one question was, Well, I have the authority along with the responsibility. And if the authority's limited, I want to know now.
Okay.
And let's talk about that. Authority was always, and that's not a big head deal, where I've got to be the big cheese,
No,
but I
I
have to
understand
be
where you're
able
coming from.
to
Yeah.
operate a certain way. If you want
Mhm.
the best out of me, you've got to give me both.
Right.
And I would say that's when I have gotten the most frustrated, or if I've been in a position and had both, and then there's been a shift in a firm or whatever, and more of that authority has been given to others above me, that's been tough.
Oh, yeah, very. It is tough when management changes. What do you feel that taught you, about, like, your own strength to go there there had to have been a time early in your career I don't wanna say, like, you played small, but you don't know what you know now, right? So, how did you get out of, like, say, like, a survival mode and become authoritative and ask for what you really wanted and stopped overworking and stopped over explaining, to you
Yeah,
upper
no.
management?
I learned early, when you win, shut up. When they
Mhm,
say yes, they gave it to you, be quiet. Don't
mhm.
keep talking or about it or whatever, just be quiet and
Good
and
advice.
absorb the win. And that I learned from a broker early on.
Mhm.
God love him, he was awesome. But I'm trying to think how to articulate it. One of the things I've known is because of strategy, I love taking things apart and putting them back together again.
Okay.
Maybe they won't look the same,
Mhm,
but I've found that I get commercial real estate. It gets me. And
mhm,
so I'm confident in my abilities to
mhm.
go in and figure out anything.
Okay.
It might be hard. It might take longer than I thought it would. It may look different than any of us thought it would, but it will be successful. And that's, you know, uh, just a confidence of, over time. And I remember this is a hard one. When I was new to commercial real estate when Jill was young,
Mhm.
I was working with a guy who was a great mentor.
Oh, okay.
He was great. He was teaching me everything, and I had watched him enough to know that he knew his stuff, and the way
Yeah.
he presented it was great. Married, 3 had 3
Mhm.
kids, something like this, solid guy, and we used to go and have lunch together and talk and whatever, and there was one day where we were coming back from lunch, and we're walking through the parking lot, and he stops me and he said, "Marcy, that's the last time I'm buying lunch without getting dessert." It was horrible. I mean, Tori,
That's one of those stunners where you're like, "Did he just say that?" And am I
I know, I was
interpreting it
just
like, unfortunately, it's
I
not what he
knew
really
what he
said,
meant,
it's the second part.
but I was so betrayed.
Very.
I trusted him. I thought he hung the moon. I loved his wife.
Yeah.
And I remember that was another line in the sand for me. I went back in my office, closed the door, and I cried. I am not a crier.
Yeah.
And I cried because I felt so betrayed by it. And
Right.
then I remember thinking, that will never happen to me again. That will never happen. And it was just a resolve. And I'm sure you have a resolve in yourself where you get to a point where you're just, yep,
Yep, we're done.
that just won't be a part of my future.
Yeah. No. It seems like you make pretty fast decisions on you don't mull over them, because I think that's another thing is a lot of people overthink, and you just intuitively just
I've,
no.
I started off in property management, believe it or
Mhm.
not, an awesome line of business and those people under celebrated. But you can't be that person that thinks and then goes back and undoes your thought on this or your decision.
Mhm.
You just have to do it and know that you're making the best decision at the time, and you better do it and do it quickly. Because to me, that's the sign of a leader,
Mhm.
is someone who will step up, make the decision. Sure, other people will shoot holes in it because it's
Right.
easy from the sidelines to shoot holes through somebody else's ideas, but they never stood up and said they could do it. So, anyway, so you just have to make those quick decisions, but also be able to know that if you walk through the door and it was the wrong door, turn
Mhm.
around and go in a different direction.
did you really learn to trust your gut? Because a lot of people don't.
You come from a family of like mine, and you get wise very young.
Okay.
Just I've made a ton of, I'm sure, terrible decisions. I'd have to go back and really think through them. I'd probably try and empty them out of this brain,
Yeah.
and made them. But I just know sometimes making them quick is the best decision anybody can make
I love that. And I
because you
agree.
can't
Just
stall.
go. It's like a multiple choice test. Your first
Yeah,
answer
fine, fine.
normally always right. You just go. Go with it. I mean that actually is I want to go back to obviously I went through a lot of betrayals as well in business, and I write about it in my book. I talk about it talked about it on podcasts. Obviously, it's not something I think, everyone, I always love that the quote, no one's my friend, no one's my enemy, everyone's my teacher, right? And you got to look at it as a learning experience and not, beat yourself up over this, that, blah, blah, blah. Like what's meant to be is going to happen. How did, but that question to you on that end, because I don't know any woman. I mean, let me know if you're one that's never been sexually harassed at work, because I've never talked to someone
I
who
just
hasn't
told
been.
you a story.
I mean, I haven't talked to anyone who hasn't been, right?
Yeah.
It's really sick. And it doesn't matter if you're married, have a boyfriend, there's always some sick trick at work and that you're going to counter, whether it's in the office or a client, one or the other, right? They could be very bold. And how
Mhm.
did you handle that? Because here we go again. You're a single mom, you're working on a salary. What did you do?
It's funny. I've been told before that I'm outgoing, but there's something about me that people know no.
Hmm.
I don't know how that happened because obviously I just told you about the gentleman and dessert.
Hmm.
Obviously that didn't stop him, but when you work long hours and you're on teams and things get exciting and the adrenaline's going, people can overstep. I had a client overstep once
Hmm.
and he would never do that again. And
How about you handle
people make
the mentor that overstepped?
no, no, no. It was a client, and this was probably only about 15 years ago.
Hmm.
And we're in an industry where people can drink quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And so you mix all that together and things can get very blurry.
Oh, yeah.
And I've just tried when those occasions come up to give that person a way out
Hmm.
to save face that certainly surely, you stop and it's just, could you repeat what you just said to me? No, and it's amazing when you ask them to do that, how quickly they realize what they've said, and it gives them an opportunity to back off.
Good advice.
Yeah, it doesn't happen much anymore. When you're seasoned, there you go.
For sure, for sure. No, I agree. As you get older and more mature, I think the energy, they know just to stay away.
Mhm, mhm.
And
Yeah.
like you said, you just don't put yourself in bad situations too, especially when you've got certain people, clients. I mean, you know who's who and what they do. And I agree. You got to stay away from heavy alcohol.
Yep, absolutely.
What's a big boundary like you've had to set like at work and home that really changed everything for you? Because we all know there's no balance in being a mom, wife, working. What have you had to do to make your life more integrated and smooth?
I think work-life balance is a great goal. I don't know if anyone ever reaches it.
No.
And if they do, it's unique to their situation, where whatever it may be, but it's unique to them. For me, the way I've done it more times than not is I block out certain parts of my calendar
Mhm.
and and no one can touch it. And I use that time for it could be a number of things.
Mhm.
I am a person who's always worked out early in the morning.
Okay.
You try and get me to work out
Me
after
too.
work, not gonna
Yeah.
happen. I'm just too mentally and physically, I'm spent.
Yeah.
And I think that I won't give on because I know the benefit to me on how I feel about myself and I've accomplished something before I ever got into the office. I mean, there's just something about it.
Yeah.
And if it looks good on the outside side, great. But there's just something about working out that is great. But I do. It was always on Tuesdays and Thursdays, a certain 2 or 3 hours, honestly, block of time that I would pick and choose how I wanted to use that.
Okay.
And then I think Tuesday was morning and Thursday was later in the afternoon.
Mm,
And
okay.
then one of the things I loved doing when I was at Avison Young, and there's a broker in particular who will know, is I loved going to the broker opens, or, when
Yeah.
they would have something with him
Hmm.
and meet brokers. It's a great way to recruit.
Yeah.
But also, you're out in the market and you're hearing them talk about deals or what's working. I'm not a person who likes to hear things second and third hand, but it gets you out in the market. I can't tell you how many times when I would do that, they would say, "My market leader's never going to be out to one of these." I was just, okay, whatever, don't care. But just getting out and about, to me, that re energizes you. You're out of the office, you're in a different situation. So, getting to know your market more and more, I think is another great way to be able to do it.
For sure. What's the one sentence you wish every woman had ready when she's being minimized or interrupted or overlooked?
2 that I use for anything,
Hmm.
because no one can take anything away from you,
Right.
is using the line, "It's been my experience."
Mm,
So someone's talking over you, minimizing. I have a whole thing for interrupting the interrupter. But as they're doing that is when, you stop and you lean in. And it's been my experience. Well, your experience is not mine, Tori, and mine is not
hmm.
yours. So
Right.
you can't really debate that with
Right.
me. And then the other is I'm developing an opinion about.
Hmm.
And so they say something, that's snarky or
Hmm.
disrespectful. You say, "You know what? I'm developing an opinion about that, and I'm not quite ready to engage with you on it."
Yeah, that's sharp.
And that way, those 2 cannot be debated. I
Right.
mean, people could try, but good luck trying to understand 35 years of commercial real estate experience. Good luck.
Boy, I agree. I mean, it's just it's a fun road. It's been
There's no other industry I would ever have wanted to be a part of. I'm so grateful.
yeah, I am too. I've learned a lot. I've just met the most amazing people and just the amount you learn and like you said, you're about 10 different versions of yourself, right?
Yeah,
It's a wild journey.
it is.
But I definitely want to thank you for joining me today. I love your honesty, your strength, your clarity, you've
Thank you.
brought to this whole entire conversation. What really stood out to me is just how you've lived to teach and to serve your whole career. And, building a career, while being a single mom, in a time when a lot of women they didn't even have the support systems like
Right.
we have now. And, it takes a lot of guts and grit, to do that. And I love how, like, you've reminded, the listeners that, growth doesn't just come from, shrinking ourselves, but from and over functioning, but it comes from having boundaries, a very clear voice,
Yeah.
not over speaking, and learning, to lead from what's true.
Yeah. Well, thank
So,
you.
yeah.
I've loved getting to know you. I had a whole
Thank
list of
you.
questions for you. So sorry if I,
Well, when you start your
didn't get to 'em.
podcast, or we could do a LinkedIn video, right?
I would love that. I would love it.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Next event, we could do one. But, I think it's really important is before we wrap up, I want you to tell the listeners where they can find you and connect with the
Awesome.
Moneypenny Collective.
Appreciate it. Thank you. On LinkedIn or my website, believe it or not, is marcymoneypenny.com. Email address is mm@marcymoneypenny.com. And then in the website, you can sign up for my newsletter. It's monthly. It's really
I highly
short. I've
recommend,
tried really hard to make it meaningful but short. And always, DM me on LinkedIn. How can
yeah.
I help? How can I serve?
Hmm.
I want to help make our industry better and better and better, just like everyone else does.
Yes, I love it. I just love how you give back. It's amazing. And I do want to let everyone know that Marcy's name is spelled Marcy, And Moneypenny is Moneypenny.
The best last name in the world. Yes.
Yes. So it's so much fun. I mean, you can't forget it. So as always, I want to thank the listeners for listening to another episode of the Tori Nook Talk Show. You can catch all new episodes that drop every Tuesday on all podcast platforms and on my YouTube channel at Tori Nook. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please hit subscribe so you never miss an episode, review it. Please forward it to friends if it resonated with you. I love to get the word out and my guest words out. They're very powerful. And send me a note if anything resonated with you and what you'd like to see next. Thank you.